Hello, everybody! Welcome back to my little corner of the internet where I will talk about the stories of my life, my work both as a comic book author and translator, my cats Hey Hey and Serengeti, and the occasional movie, book, or TV series review and recommendation, as well as some rants if the feeling hits. Today, I have a threat for you because we're starting with a huge recommendation, which of course is a review, since I feel that I got off a bad foot with my first review of Encanto. That was a bit negative. But today I got a good one and a bit of a rant about other reviewers who decided to hate on an adorable movie because, well, I will let you be the judge of why this movie got bad reviews. I'm talking about Turning Red, Pixar's latest movie, their 2015 total, and the fourth one in a row that is not a sequel from a previous movie by them. It's an adorable coming of age tale that also has one of the most diverse casts in Pixar's history. The first one of their movies directed by a woman with a full female directing cast, and, to be quite honest, a love letter to girls, the city of Toronto, and poverty that shows a lot of heart. So, let's talk about Turning Red, growing up a girl, those magic changes that sometimes make you feel like a gross giant monster, and the importance of a healthy way to just, let it all out. Pixar has had a spotty reputation when it comes to certain subjects like the treatment of women in their offices, or how even the stories based on other cultures were, well, directed by someone not of that culture. However, they also have been obviously working to correct that, and Turning Red is a movie that shows what happens when you let the others take the reins, and the result is wonderful. Dom Shi, the director and writer, has a long list of credits at Pixar, starting with Inside Out. She was also the director of the adorable short film Bao, that, in 2018, was the first Pixar short to be directed by a female director. Kinda late in the game, but better late than never. About a Chinese Canadian woman suffering a bit from her house being empty after her children have grown and suddenly getting a new child in the form of a steamed bomb. And yes, if you have seen the short, you probably are getting a bit of an idea of what made Pixar's executives go and give her the go ahead to pitch in a new movie. She made three pitches, and the one that made the most impact was one that was just hey hey, in her own words, about a magical puberty and also the important relationship of women in a traditional family. The producers, in fact, commented that of all the pitches, it was this one where they felt that she knew the characters best. And boy, did she! The production was a bit troublesome as well. While they started working in the traditional way of Pixar, visiting different cities for references and the suit to get to know red pandas very well, the pandemic hit in the first year of production, which made them have to stop meeting in person and keep working on their own houses. And yet, you can see the togetherness of the team, as most of the animators shared her same love for diverse anime. It's quite obvious there is influence from Sailor Moon, Ranma One Half, and Fruits Baskets, as well as from My Neighbor Totoro, to the point that one of the working titles for the movie was, in fact, My Neighbor Toronto. Sorry, Kitty. Obviously, that was never going to be an official one, but it's cute. So, what is Turning Red about? Well, 13-year-old Mei Lee has everything she'd want in her life: a loving family, a great group of friends, amazing school grades, and, of course, the music of her absolute favorite boy band in the whole universe, Four Town. As she says herself, in my family, rule number one is to honor your parents, but you have to be careful not to forget to honor yourself. Not that I have that problem. But, well, she's 13, and that means some changes are coming to her. What she didn't expect was that, due to a family inconvenience, one of said changes is to turn into a giant red panda whenever she gets a strong emotion like happiness, anger, or, thanks to her slightly overbearing mom, embarrassment. Let's get one thing out of the gate. Turning red is adorable. Exactly, Heihei. I loved it, and I believe everyone who was a teenage girl, or has or had teenage girls in their lives, or is a teenage girl, should watch it. That's it. That's the short review. Go, watch it, and love it. Then, if you want, come back and we will continue raving together about it as if it was a four-town concert. Because, unfortunately, for a good analysis, I'm going to have to give heavy spoilers into this. So please, go watch it. Seriously, I am 95% sure you are going to love it more if you go and spoiler it than if you know the main points. And yes, there are a few scenes that may make you cringe a bit, but that is part of the experience and it's going to be lovely. Okay? Okay. So, if now we only have the people here who have watched the movie, we can start talking about it, or as I call it, we can start the too long, didn't read version of the review. Yes! The movie is a coming of age movie and it deals with puberty, but, and this is a very important point that given some of the bad faith reviews the movie has gotten, a very important point to make. The panda is not a metaphor for menstruation. Because, well, yes, the movie deals with menstruation and it does so directly. It may not say the word itself, but pads are shown and mentioned. May mom is over prepared for when her little girl's red peony blooms, and Priya clearly has gone through it as she offers May extra pads at some point before everyone gets that nope, that is not what May is going through. And isn't that a bit refreshing, menstruating pals? To get a movie where menstruation is not the gross punchline or the thing to keep a secret, but just part of life. Yes, the whole thing is embarrassing to May, because she is embarrassed by her mother, but it's not because of menstruation itself. It's because, A, that is not what she's dealing with, even if, yeah, she feels like a huge, gross, stinky red monster, and more importantly, B, no one wants their mother to loudly announce to every single person in your social circle that you forgot your pads in the car. The punchline is not, ha ha, a natural human process is gross, but ha ha, moms can be so embarrassing, aren't they? And that makes all the difference. So if the panda is not menstruation, what is it supposed to represent? Some people say puberty as a whole, although, to be honest, most of the movie deals with poverty and the problems a girl can have when going through it, even before the panda comes in. Like, for example, a girl's first innocent crush and the embarrassment of having it revealed to said crush. Seriously, Ming is the reason for 75% of the problems May has in the movie. The huge realization that, yep, you love your family, but you may also love your friends, and in some points, the love that you have for your friends is stronger than the one you have for your family. That moment in which you feel the need to still be your mom's little perfect little girl and also be yourself, and how to balance those two things is never easy. And in that sense, that is the panda. In other ways, many, many ways, the panda is anxiety and all the big emotions that we keep bottled up. The same emotions that bring out the transformation in May, anger, excitement, happiness, are the ones that we, women, are taught in pretty much every culture to keep under strict control. We're taught that we're not supposed to be loud, we're not supposed to be cringe, we're not supposed to get angry. And yes, it happens in every single culture, but more so in some like the Chinese, where the idea of the perfect woman is deeply ingrained. I mean, we all remember Mulan, don't we? Obviously, Turning Red is a very, very female driven movie. Sorry for the male racer in the audience, but you dudes weren't taught that anger was wrong and not controlling your tongue was the best way to be seen as an hysterical person who should not be listened to. And just look at culture everywhere. We have seen many, many examples of how a woman who is assertive and successful is seen as bossy, where a man who does exactly the same is leader material. A woman who dresses up to show her attractive side is slutty, where a guy doing the same is self confident. And of course, a guy who is passionate about whatever the hell they love is quirky or passionate, but a girl is cringe. There are two perfect examples in Turning Red about this, by the way. One in the movie, the other one outside. The inside one is how every older woman in May's life refers to her panda as an unruly beast and continuously insists that it must be hard to keep it down, to keep it trapped. Her grandmother goes as far as to say that, should she let the panda out too many times before the ceremony that will ensure the panda stays locked, it will become too strong and thus it will be impossible to lock it up. Even worse, she implies that should May keep transforming, she'd be locked in the panda form, which would hurt her mother. In short, don't be yourself. Don't let your emotions run wild. Don't let anything unladylike out, or you will hurt your family. And yes, the panda can be dangerous if she's kept locked up. That is why Ming's panda is so big, because she felt from day one that she couldn't be herself and never allowed herself anything. May has friends, and at least in school can be a little bit of a weirdo. Ming is said to never have stood up for herself against her mother until the fateful day when she unleashed her giant panda and destroyed half the temple. She herself said that she never went out with friends or to concerts because she was there for her family. In short, she kept everything inside and was taught to see her true self as a monster. And in fact, what happens at the end with her panda is a perfect metaphor for therapy because her panda is still locked up because she is quite dangerous outside. But now that she's a Tamagotchi, Ming can face her and take care of her, while at the same time putting her teeny obsession about knowing where someone is at all times and in her panda, and not, say, her teenage daughter who is learning how to fly on her own. Sorry, I said I was going to have spoilers here. And of course, we can see how this comes from one woman who long ago was far, far ahead of her own times. Because the first time we hear about the panda's blessing from Ming is that in the past, Sun Yi, their ancestor, wished for the gods to help her to protect her daughters from the war that had come to their village, since all the men were away. The gods, as they intend to do in these kind of stories, answered said prayers by giving her the power to transform into a giant red panda, who would, in turn, destroy the armies that were threatening Ji, her daughters, and their village, and later pass on the ability to say daughters so that they could also protect themselves and their loved ones. But, again, in Ming's words, as time passed and war was a thing of the past, what was originally a blessing became an inconvenience. One can only imagine that Sunji wouldn't be happy to hear her amazing blessing called that. because she loved red pandas, even before being one herself. She was always ready to protect her family, but for what we could see in the scrolls, she didn't keep her emotions bottled up, and he could go from cuddly, playful, cuddly panda like May to huge kaiju army eating panda like Mink. And yet, she doesn't do that. And yet, she doesn't do that. We don't know when the family started sealing their pandas. Mr. Gao mentions that he's done it a lot and he's an expert, but that's all. But we do know that Sunji doesn't judge them for it because she's always there for her family when they do the sealing ceremony. She leads them to the mirror that will separate them from the panda, and then she waits. She never says a word, and her face is always in a pleasant smile. At the end of the day, she's waiting for them to choose. And whether they cross the mirror and lock their pandas or stay in the forest and let the panda be part of themselves, Sunji supports them. She made her choice, of course, and she lets her daughters, her granddaughters, her great granddaughters make their own choice. Their panda, their choice. And yes, that's the other point, the outside point. How many people complain about that particular phrase? Because, well, that is a lot more on the nose than the actual mention of pads, cramps, and that time of the month. People hate the movie because it is honest about women's emotions. And in this case, it shows how universal this slogan is. Because, yes, my body, my choice is a pro choice slogan. But it is not just about abortion, it is about everything that feminism wants for people. Your body, your choice to be a giant red panda or show just parts of the beast within. You can get tattoos or dye your hair or have a ton of piercings or be the most perfect 50s housewife. You can be gay, straight, bisexual, pansexual, demisexual, trans, asexual, non-binary or non-conforming, and that is part of you, and it's your decision how to be part of that community and how to show that part of yourselves to others. Because at the end of the day, is your true inner self. It's your panda, and because it's your panda, it's your choice. Turning red was a gorgeous surprise for me. I'll be honest. After Coco, I went on a bit of a Pixar burnout. I loved Coco, and even just seeing the intro makes me cry now. But precisely because of that, I had been avoiding the others to, protect me from more crying from horrible flashbacks to my own generational trauma. One day I will tell you why Lucha Libre was forbidden in my paternal grandmother's house. So I haven't seen The Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Onward, Soul, or Luca. I keep meaning to, but I just can't find the time or the mood. But I kept hearing so many good things about Turning Red that I just went, forget chronological order, let's watch this. And I must recommend you to watch it, even if you haven't seen it yet, even if I did spoil a lot, everything that was not spoiled by memes in Twitter anyway. It is a beautiful movie, one that you really should experience yourself. As I said before, if you were ever a 13-year-old girl, have a 13-year-old girl in your life, or, just sometimes feel like you have to hide part of yourself, no matter your age, your gender, or where are you in your life. I want to thank my dear patrons, Mitch Hyman, Elaine Ho, and Jessica, as well as my first supporter Tania Pineda and Amy Song, who is the greatest human being on the planet and without whom these videos would not be possible. I also want to remind you that if you want to support this and my other projects and get your name mentioned here, you can do so at patreon.com/Adalisa. Read the link on descriptions, as I know my name can be hard to spell with the linked tree, and with just $1 a month, you will always be thanked in my videos, as well as get access to a ton of art before anyone else. Or you can support me once on Coffee, also linked on my link tree, and you will get mentioned in my next video. If you can't support me this way, I will also accept likes, subscriptions to the channel, comments so that the algorithm catches engagement, and of course, you sharing the links. I also welcome all your questions, feedbacks, and suggestions in the comments below. This was Adolis Asarte, and I will see you next time to talk about, well, whatever comes to mind. Bye bye!